sleep.
Sleep. How do we do it? For most of the courses, I try to bring on some authority figure of the course's topic, but for this one, there will be no need because you're looking at him. You're listening to someone who's been battling sleep problems for about 3 years now. I have tried it all. I have tried sleep spray. I have tried refrigerated sleep masks. I have tried ashwagandha. I have tried everything. I've not only read this book, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, I've also watched all of these videos, and I've made it my life to try to get better sleep. But shocker, just like every single other thing we talk about, it's about consistency. It's about the lifestyle that you live. So let's talk about it. As we start in most things, we need to figure out our whys. So first, I'm going to start this video with why you need good sleep, and then we're going to be talking about basically what is sleep, what is the anatomy of it, how does it work, so then lastly we can understand how do we get the best sleep possible. So let's start. First off, I want to say that I literally could not mention every single benefit of sleep. One, because before 20 years ago, it was one of the most unknown things about the things that we do, but also because now the benefits that we have figured out as humanity are endless. I literally could not name all of them. It has been said that if sleep was not a natural substance, it would be banned in sports because of all of the benefits that it has. If you're interested in going down the rabbit hole that is Matthew Walker's TED Talks and podcasts in his book, feel free to do so. It's very fun, but I'll give you the need to know. I'm just going to rapid fire some of the countless benefits of sleep. Here we go. Improved cognitive function, increased emotional well-being, better physical health, enhanced athletic performance, better decision-making, hormonal balance, enhanced learning and academic performance, longer lifespan, enhanced social interactions. And if this wasn't enough, I say this as someone who's done his research, sleeping longer will not only statistically make your life longer, it will also increase the quality of your life. And that's the carrot, and here's the stick. If you don't sleep enough, your life will be shorter, and you will be much more prone to disease and risks like that. What are the risks? Well, to name a few of the countless ones, there's Alzheimer's, cancer, and car crashes. Every single hour in America, there is a car crash due to drowsy driving, which is more dangerous than drunk driving. Let me be clear for anyone skimming over this video or half listening, even if you eventually give up and let go of self-improvement and you say, it's a bunch of crap, I can go watch TV all day and still be fine. Sleep is important. The way that Matthew Walker puts it, wakefulness is brain damage, and sleep is brain recovery. A lot of my audience is younger people, so Alzheimer's, cancer, maybe even cars, maybe that's down the road, maybe that seems far away. I'll say some benefits that I think are really important. Memory is a huge thing. A lot of us think, I just don't have a good memory. I'm just not one of those people. That just doesn't exist for me. What's more likely is that you probably just don't sleep enough. And to get good memory, you need to be not only sleeping enough after you learn the thing, but also before you learn the thing. When you go through your daily life, all of your factual memory, like your need-to-knows, your dates, things like that, is stored in the hippocampus. And when actively recalling it, it's tricky, and sometimes we can't even recall what's in the hippocampus, and it's a very finite amount of room in the hippocampus. What this means is basically, imagine a really small flash drive. It's got like 500 megabytes on it, and that's the best it can do. How do you get this memory from the hippocampus into the prefrontal cortex where it can be long-term memories? You sleep. Some of you may think, okay, well that means that all I have to do after getting some information is sleep the night after. No, it also means that you have to sleep the night before, because if you don't, then your hippocampus is already filled up and you haven't given it enough room to learn more things. It's also important to note that sleep is not a credit system. It's not something you can save for the weekends. If you learn something today and you say, I'll get good sleep on Friday, doesn't matter. You've lost it. It's over. Sleep is something you have to get every single night, or you lose the benefits and you'll never get those benefits back. For other things like motor skills or unconscious learning, there's a phenomenon that a lot of people go through, athletes, musicians, gamers, anything like that. They're trying to do a movement. Maybe it's play a piece on the piano, or if you're a gamer, it's play an input. They can't really do it. But this is because when you're trying to learn it, it's all in the conscious mind. It's all being actively recalled. It's something you have to really focus on doing. You're thinking, okay, I do this, I do this, I do this, I do this. Then, when you sleep, your brain takes all of that and puts it into the subconscious mind. And the next morning you wake up and you go back to doing it, and suddenly it just does it. Your body just knows how to do it. And this isn't instantaneous, but it really does happen. You can ask musicians, athletes, gamers, anyone of the like. This is a real thing that sleep helps you do. And it is just the one of countless benefits that sleep has. Let's keep going. Weight loss and physical health is also really deeply tied to sleeping. Let's say you're trying to diet and you want to get a lean physique. Well, this means that to do so, you would have to lose lose fat and keep or even gain a little bit of muscle. When you go into a calorie deficit, your caloric maintenance level is the amount of calories that your body needs to function on a daily basis. If you don't give it that amount of calories, it's got to come from somewhere, which means it's either coming from fat or muscle. If you don't sleep enough, it comes from strictly muscle. If you get enough sleep, it comes from fat. Really simple. So if you want to lose weight, you want to look better, you want to have lean muscle, get enough sleep. Now, if that wasn't enough for losing weight, guess what else happens when you don't get enough sleep? Your hormonal balance goes out of whack. And two of these hormones that go out of whack are specifically tied to weight loss. It's ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin being the hunger hormone and leptin being the I'm full and I'm okay hormone. When you don't sleep enough, ghrelin goes up and leptin goes down, which means that you're always hungry and you're never full. And lastly, it also means that when you're tired, you've lost a lot of willpower. And guess what foods we chase when we don't have willpower? We chase the calorically dense foods. To sum this all up, if you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be hungrier, you're going to be craving food that is bad for you. And even if you somehow push all of it away and you spend all of your willpower avoiding the bad foods, it won't even matter because you're not going to lose fat. You're just going to lose muscle. So you put all of this torturous work in, and then you don't even get the result you want. Get enough sleep. I say this to the skinny people trying to build muscle. If you heard that if you don't sleep enough, you'll be hungrier and you'll be less full and you want that, don't try it, because if you're not sleeping well enough, you won't be able to build muscle. It just won't happen. What is sleep? Let's go into some chemical information. Every second you're awake, your brain releases a chemical called adenosine. This is basically sleep pressure. Now what this means is the more adenosine you have in your brain, the more sleepy you feel. And the less adenosine you have in your brain, the more awake you feel. It takes a full night's sleep to get rid of a day's worth of adenosine. What this basically means is that when you fall asleep, your brain doesn't immediately get rid of all the adenosine. It means that if you only get 6 hours when you need 8 hours, you're still going to have some adenosine left over the following morning. So you'll just have woken up, you'll still feel a good bit of adenosine. Next, let's understand what happens during sleep. When you're sleeping, you're going through one of a few phases of sleep, but these can be split into REM and non-REM. Inside of non-REM, there's 4 stages, but people really just divide them into light REM and deep REM. When you're sleeping, your brain goes through 90-minute cycles. If you were to look at a graph and you didn't see the 90-minute cycles, you wouldn't really see anything. And even if you did, you look at it and say, there's not really a pattern here. But that's because the ratio of non-REM and REM and light non-REM and deep non-REM, it's not even throughout the night. To put this simply, during the beginning of your sleep cycle, you'll be going mostly through deep non-REM. And this will change throughout the night to light REM and then REM. You're still going through all of them every 90-minute cycle, but the ratio changes. If you usually go to bed at midnight and get up at 8 a.m., but then one morning you have to get up early for a meeting or you have to go work out or something, and you get up 2 hours earlier, you'll say to yourself, I'm only missing 25% of my sleep. And technically that's true, but it's not effectively true because you're actually missing 50 to 90% of your REM sleep. This is conversely true if you go to bed 2 hours later than you usually do. If you usually go to bed at midnight, get up at 8 a.m., and you go to bed at 2 a.m., well then you're missing a lot more of your deep non-REM sleep. Here's the thing, it's all important. There's not a single bit of sleep that any scientist would recommend sacrificing. So for the people who want a simple answer, getting enough sleep, being 8 hours if you're a male and 9 hours if you're a female, is really important. And the idea that you need less sleep as you get older, it's not true. It's never been true. There's no evidence to back that. Real quick, what this means is if you want 8 hours of sleep, you should give yourself 8.5, maybe 9 hours in bed with the lights off, not doing anything. Well, here are a few questions to gauge whether or not you're getting enough sleep. First off, are you giving yourself 7 to 9 hours alone in bed with the lights off just for sleeping? Not scrolling on your phone, not reading right before bed, just for sleep. After waking up in the morning, could you easily fall back asleep around 10 or 11 a.m.? Can you function well without having caffeine before noon? If you didn't set an alarm, would you sleep past your usual wake-up time? Do you often find yourself rereading lines in books or computer screens? Depending on how you answered these questions, you should know whether or not you're getting enough sleep. These are great ways to self-diagnose whether you're struggling with sleep or not, but if you are, I genuinely recommend going to a sleep doctor. Okay, finally, we're in the how to get better sleep section. From the research that I've done, best advice I could give anyone for sleep, teach your body a sleep routine. So this effectively means go to bed at the same time every single night. Get up at the same time every single morning. Go to bed in the same bed. Have the same wind down routine. Go to bed at the same temperature. Keep as much as you can consistent and you will have better time sleeping. The most important thing is the time that you're going to bed. But if I could only give one word to someone who wants to sleep better, I would say consistency. This means that if you have a good sleep schedule on the weekdays, but then you go out on Fridays and stay up till 3 a.m., that's not good. When you get in a bed that you don't usually sleep in, or you get in a bed for the first time, half of your brain is actually slightly awake because you're on edge. You're like, I don't know this place. Am I safe? Am I good? For example, if you're an Olympian or a tournament competitor and you're going to a different place or a different part of the world to compete in, well then I would recommend getting there a few days in advance so your circadian rhythm can adapt and so your body can get comfortable sleeping in that bed. The next tier of advice I would give people who want to sleep better, the core 4 sleep conditions: deaf, blind, cold, and hungry. Deaf basically means that there's a consistent noise level or you can't hear anything. If you live in a college dorm, put some earplugs in, put some white noise on, you're chilling. But if you can't help it, try to sleep somewhere where there is no noise at night. Blind. There should be no light available when we're trying to sleep. Your room needs to be completely dark. You need to have blackout curtains and block the light coming from under the doors, or just wear a sleep mask. Light is also very important in our bedtime routine and waking up routine. Light basically guides our circadian rhythm to whether or not we should be awake. Effectively, this means an hour and a half before bed, turn off all the overhead lights, put on a dim, warm light, say goodbye to screens, maybe read a book, talk with one of your friends, listen to a podcast, listen to some music, take a hot bath, something like that. And it also means that when you wake up, you want to be exposed to light the first thing. Open up some windows, get some light on, you're good. Next is cold. It's always easier to fall asleep in a room that's too cold versus too hot. Scientists recommend somewhere from 60 to 68 degrees when sleeping. This is also because the time that our body hits the coldest temperature is during sleep. I think it's 2 to 4 hours before you wake up. If the room is too warm, you will have trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. Last is hungry. Now, there's levels to this. If you go to bed and you have not eaten enough food throughout the day, your body is actually not going to fall asleep. It's going to say, hey, we haven't eaten enough, we're still hungry, we need to go out and hunt. What are you doing? Why are we sleeping? But this is more for people like Chris Bumstead when he's about to go out for a show, when he's legitimately starving himself. The reason that people say you need to go to bed hungry is because it needs to be about 2 to 4 hours since you've last eaten when you're about to sleep, or else you'll face problems like indigestion, or you'll just have trouble sleeping. A quick reminder, however it is that you implement these things, what I would recommend is finding something that works for you and sticking with it. Remember, consistency is key. The third tier of sleep advice, I'm going to rapid fire some other quick how-tos, and I recommend trying all of these if you really struggle with sleep. So let's get it. Taking an afternoon walk can actually prime your eyes for a little bit more light when you're about to go to sleep. You're training your eyes to have a little bit of leniency when it comes to taking in light. This also means that if you wear blue blockers, you shouldn't try to wear these throughout the day, especially not in the afternoon, because you want to prime your eyes for a ton of light coming in. So then, when it's an hour away from getting sleep and you're addicted to your phones, because I know you are, your brain won't think it's as much light as it is because you've previously primed your eyes to a ton of light. 3 hours, 2 hours, an hour and a half before you go to sleep, that's when you put these things on. Or better advice, just stay away from the screens. Next, do not drink caffeine after noon. Simply put, the half-life of caffeine is 5 to 7 hours. So if you drink caffeine at noon, half of the caffeine will still be in your system at 7 p.m. What does caffeine do? It basically drives and parks in the spot that adenosine goes. So we talked about adenosine, it's just a sleep pressure chemical. It just blocks where adenosine goes, and basically your brain's like, I don't hear any adenosine talking, we must be fine. This may sound obvious, don't have coffee after like noon, but it's more of a problem when people don't even realize it. If you're going to the movie theater at 7 p.m. and you have a Diet Coke, that's going to be a problem. If you're going to get some dinner and you have some sweet tea, that's going to be a problem. You need to think about these things. Water does just fine. On that note, another substance you should not be taking in at night is alcohol. Alcohol not only blocks the production of REM sleep, but it also just brings you back awake sometimes. One of the reasons that people feel hungover after a night of drinking is one, they went to bed really late, but that means that the majority of sleep that they got, because it was later in the day, is supposed to be REM sleep, so they missed out on their deep non-REM sleep, and then when they were supposed to get a ton of extra REM sleep, they weren't even able to access it because alcohol blocks you from going into REM sleep. So on top of the effects of having alcohol still in your system in the morning, you literally feel like you didn't get sleep, and you probably didn't get much, by the way. Third, take a hot bath or sauna or shower before going to bed. Jackson, you just said get cold as you go to bed. That's true. When you take a hot bath, a hot sauna, or hot whatever it is, you raise your body temperature, but then when you get out, it slowly cools. And that triggers melatonin, which is the other sleep chemical. Number 4, I've said this before, I'll say it again. As you start to wind down, 2 hours, 2.5 hours before sleep, start turning off those big lights, start turning off those bright lights, start putting the screens on no blue light mode, put on your blue blockers, and eventually just stay away from the screens altogether. There are tons of alternatives to looking at screens before bed. Reading, talking with people, listening to podcasts, listening to music, meditating, whatever you want to do, just have a wind down routine that doesn't include bright lights and screens. Stay out of bed until you're sleeping. For those of you who sleep fine and you just want to learn about sleep, you don't have to do this. But for the people who really struggle with sleep, it's probably because your brain is being trained that the bed is not only a thing for sleeping. If you really want to tell your brain that it's time to go to sleep, then you should make the bed specifically associated with sleeping. This means that part of your wind down routine cannot be reading in bed, because then you're doing something in bed that's not sleeping. This means reading with a lamp by the desk instead of inside the bed. I know it's more comfortable inside the bed. You got into your PJs, you feel comfortable, you're bringing down the temperature of the house, you want to bundle up, and you can, but if you really struggle with sleep, I would say don't ever be in the bed unless you have to sleep. This also means when you wake up, get out of the bed immediately. Do not scroll on your phone before bed or right when you wake up. Do not ever do that. Work out. One of the best ways to get better sleep is by earning it. Our ancestors lived a very hard, physically exhausting life, which primed sleep. One of the greatest ways to get better sleep is to sweat it out. It's to earn this sleep. I'll be specific here. Don't do this 2 to 3 hours before bed. Do it in the morning, do it during the day, but do go through something physically demanding that will tire you out to help you sleep. Don't miss your sleep window. What does this mean? This means that if you usually go to bed at 11, well then from 10 to 12 you have a sleep window. But if you stay up past 12, after being awake for 22 hours, you're the equivalent of being legally drunk. So you don't have the willpower to say no to the things that you know you should be saying no to. What does this mean? This means that if you go to bed at 12 p.m., maybe 12:30, maybe 1 a.m., you're not gonna have the willpower to say, I can't bring my phone in my room. So then you're gonna bring your phone into bed, and then you're gonna scroll, and then suddenly it's gonna be 3 a.m. and the whole next day is shot. Don't miss your sleep window. I know a lot of us, maybe we're in the zone, or maybe we're hanging out, playing video games with the boys, or we're going on a party, or we're just having a really just meaningful conversation in the night with somebody, and you're saying, man, I really don't wanna end this. I get it, but also, not ending this could cost all of tomorrow's productivity. So just ask yourself, is this a choice that's really worth it? And I've said this before, but get your phone outside of the bedroom. Do not bring it into the bedroom. And if you want white noise, I totally hear you, put it on the corner of the bed. If you sleep in this corner, get the phone in this corner and have your white noise just turn it up. And then you can turn your alarm on the phone, so when you wake up, you literally have to get out of bed and turn that alarm off. The reason I recommend just having the phone not in the room is because even some mates who just, oh my god, the alarm's going off, run up, get it, turn it off, and then just jump back in bed with the phone in their hand, start scrolling, ruining the whole day. If it's feasible, get the phone out of the room. If it's not, put the phone literally as far away from you as it can be inside the room. This is gonna be a little bit much, but if you really can't sleep, something you'll want to do is have a dinner 2 to 4 hours before bed that includes a lot of starchy carbohydrates. This will release serotonin, and one of the things that stops us from sleeping well is being in our groggy, worried states. We're like, oh my god, it's never gonna work out. We start tweaking. We're like, there's so much to think about. Starchy carbohydrates can help with this. Lastly, and this is something I just don't think a lot of people think about, is give yourself enough time to think throughout the day. One of the reasons that people scroll before bed is because they're anxious. And we don't ever scroll because we want to scroll. We scroll because we want to feel something. We want to feel distracted, or we want to feel loved, or we want to feel entertained, or we just want to feel a feeling. But when we're alone with our thoughts, all of the negative emotions that we've been running from start to flood in. And if the very first time this happens throughout the day is when your head hits the pillow, good luck sleeping. You owe yourself throughout the day time to think. Taking in information, getting new memories and experiences, that's not what makes us human. Every animal goes through that. What makes us human is having our own unique thoughts. So give yourself time to think. This means nature walk, workout, shower with no music. And meditating is also a really cool thing that you can do. Just make sure that you give yourself time to think before you go to sleep, or else you're going to be thinking in bed, training yourself that the bed is for overthinking and worrying about everything and not actually for sleeping. The last thing I want to leave you with is a better lifestyle leads to better sleep. A lot of people think that sleep is the thing that they need to be chasing. Alright, if I get good sleep, I'll be better in everything else. And that is true. But if you get a better lifestyle, if you eat healthier, if you have a better routine, if you're more consistent, if you work out, you will sleep better and things will get better. It's all really a cycle, and nothing exists inside of a vacuum. And I know this sounds stressful, but it should also sound encouraging. The best way to upgrade sleep is by upgrading everything else. And the best way to upgrade everything else is by including upgrading in sleep. This is true for me because I used to feel really anxious about not chasing what I wanted to chase in life, or there's so much that I want to be doing, there's this person that I want to be that I'm not becoming. And then I started putting work into that, and I actually start sleeping better because I'm not worrying about it as much. The truth is, life is ups and downs, and it's gonna have waves, and unfortunately the time that we tend to tweak is when the sun goes down, when we're trying to sleep. But there are gonna be external forces, like right now, my uncle just died, and that's hard to sit with when you're trying to sleep. You're gonna have up and downs everywhere in life, but I can genuinely say that from 3 years ago, I have really improved my quality of sleep, and because of it, my whole life has improved. Alright, I said a lot, so here's the recap, conclusion, the quick notes if anybody wants it. Let's see it. Most important thing is consistency. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, sleep in the same bed, same conditions, same temperature, whatever. Core 4 is deaf, blind, cold, and hungry. And to get better sleep, don't prioritize getting good sleep just 1 hour before bed. Prioritize and thinking about it the whole day. Make sure your whole life is optimized for sleep, because then sleep will help optimize your whole life. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate anyone still watching, and as someone who really struggled with sleep, I want you to know that you're not alone and that you can make progress. This is totally possible, and I've done it. It can be torture. Genuinely, it can be torture to just watch the clock. And you shouldn't watch the clock when you go to bed. But just to know that time's going and you're trying to sleep. You want all these amazing benefits of sleep and you're just not getting it. Don't stress yourself out. It will come with time. You're going to be okay. And just keep working on this process and give it grace, give yourself grace, and be patient. I can't say that it's possible to immediately become one of those people where the second their head hits the pillow they fall asleep. And also that's a little bit of a sign of sleep deprivation, but whatever. But I can say that improvement is more than possible. You can do this. Thanks for watching. If you have any tips or insights that you want to share, please do so in the comments. For those of you watching on YouTube, this was episode 1 of a sleep course that's currently on our school community. So if you want the second episode and every single other aspect of self-improvement that we have to offer, you should join our school community called Peak Potential. It's all about self-improvement. We're all about moving forward in a healthy mindset and just becoming the best person that we can be. If that sounds at all interesting to you, you should check it out. It's in the link in the description, and I'll see y'all. Peace.